Today, we want to talk about a little bit, like Oreste already said, about the logic versus the feeling in ballroom dancing and how, I think it's so interesting working with more and more people through the teaching career and also remembering myself when I was much more active, in professional dancing, how that is true, and how there's benefit to more logic approach and what are the benefits of the more feeling approach and how they come together and how I think we can, through understanding that, we can learn more about how to perform better, how to have more fun in dancing, how to enjoy more, and how to have a better time, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, why don't we go from the first topic, right? Technique versus expression. So, how logical frameworks and emotional interpretation contribute to a dancer's development, right?
Yeah.
So, many times why I wanted to talk about this because many of my students when we they're mostly adults, so whenever we talk about something, oh, you should bend the knee or you should use your shoulder blade or you should stretch more or you should, I don't know, swing more or whatever it is, some kind of technical aspect, right? Sometimes, while that is true, you of course you need the technique, I think, but you also need to integrate together into the dancing. So many times I feel it's a struggle sometimes when people really really focus on just one thing and then everything else is not working anymore freely, right?
Right. Right. Well, then in that case, you already started with introducing something important, which is the balance, right, between the things. But I think that especially for who starts later, right, dancing is like it's like basically a new language, right? It's
Hmm.
a body language, but it's a language. So first you need to learn the words and how to put them together in a, I would say, a more logic and organized way. And
Hmm.
then once you get that ability, the jiggling with the words and the way to put them together, then you can use them the way you want to express whatever you want to say, right? Whatever you want to be able to communicate.
Yeah.
It happened to me to meet people that were eager to express. So, they
Hmm.
just start and immediately they would like to be able to express something complex or anyway articulated,
Hmm.
but not having the tools to actually express that. So it made you like,
Hmm.
you don't have the words to say what you want to say. So how can you say it?
Yeah,
So, and
exactly.
it also happened the other case where people get so picky about learning, their technical skills. And so if we use the same metaphor to learning the words, the grammar, and the logic behind it, and then not being able to say anything because they don't focus on what it is that they want to express, right? And therefore, if you don't have anything to express, then what do you need these words and these tools for? Does it make sense?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. Because sometimes, yeah, so, of course, all of us we have maybe a little bit more strength in one or the other, right? Some people much more natural in the feeling, so they don't really worry too much about the details. They just go with the flow, and it can be really good. I know, I'm sure you know too many dancers. Maybe you watch them teaching or you watch them whatever explaining. You're thinking, but is not really he's not really breaking it down, right? But
Yes.
maybe, it's also not necessary actually. If you just go with the flow and it happens for you naturally, I mean, you don't really need to break it down, right? If you can perform like this, maybe if you, let's say, if you're talking to a person who is like logically inclined, like I would think me myself, I'm like a more logically inclined. So I
Mhm.
want to understand, I want to know how it works so I can understand myself and I can tell other people. But for a person who is more like feeling inclined, all of this, I'm sure, feels like unnecessary things,
Right.
right?
Yes. Even boring, probably sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just so interesting to me how I can see that in my students that they are sometimes I try to talk to them like from this analytical point of view. But first of all, yeah, they think it's boring. They think it's not exciting. Number one, and number two, they also doing worse. So then when I say, okay, just relax, just follow me, just do like this, it's better, you know?
Yes. That's a very important point you touch. I think that um, we really go into a complicated topic because as a teacher, I think it's very important that every time we help our student, we need to let them see the bigger picture first. So we say, okay,
Hmm.
so you need to learn this skill because with this logical skill, you will be able
Hmm.
to express this not rational feeling, or this
Mm-hmm.
feeling and emotion wise. So they need to be able to see the process before they start learning, so that then when they learn the skill, they know what it will be used for. Because
Mm-hmm.
otherwise, yes, it happens often that you learn a skill, and when you learn it per se, individually, as a single element,
Thing.
and again, you don't really know what to do with it. And
Mm-hmm.
therefore, even if it's a correct action, it still looks like a wrong movement, or it feels wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So literally, there is such a link between the two. There must be a bridge between the two, right? Between the logic and the feeling. And
Mm-hmm.
if we speak about a teacher role, right, the teacher role is to make sure that they can see this bridge, walk on it,
Mm-hmm.
and reach the final destination. Because I think you're right. Some people have more inclined to the logic, some people more into the feeling. But I believe that ultimately, as a dancer, the feeling is a little bit the ultimate goal. It's difficult for me to think that the ultimate goal can be perfection, like on a technical skill, because I think it's
Mm-hmm.
quite impossible. But expression, instead, for my point of view, is a more realistic and a more fulfilling goal. But you need the tool to get there. You need to
Mm-hmm.
understand the words of your language, and then you have to be able to put them together. There is a study that says that we cannot think more than the words that we actually know. So there is a study
Mm-hmm.
that says that if we don't know words, we cannot actually think stuff. We can only have a
Mm-hmm.
flow of random brain activity, but we cannot really think. So
Mm-hmm.
when I read this study, I thought about dancing. I think you
Mm-hmm.
cannot express uh, through feeling an action that you haven't ever studied or learned. So
Mm-hmm.
our goal is to understand logically all the movements, so that then we can leave room to the expression, and but
Mm-hmm.
then we will have something to use to express, basically.
Yeah. No, no, totally. Yeah. I just also remember myself, like one time I was doing this dance show in a competition in Latvia. And I remember, I was thinking to myself, oh, it's a dance show. So not that important, right? Because I was so focused on the competitive dancing, and whatever I was doing there. So in the dance show, I was like, oh, I'm just going to let it, kind of let it flow, let it go, kind of just enjoy. And then people come up to me and judges and other dancers. I was like, oh, wow, this is like the best you've ever danced. And I was thinking like, and I wasn't really like trying that hard.
Right,
Which now retrospectively looking back, I'm thinking, okay, I was so much more into this logical sort of calculating sort of space that like the other part was a little bit lacking,
yeah,
right? So when I just, it's like you say, yeah, sure, I learn all these techniques, and then when I just sort of kind of like forget about it and they just work through me, actually it's better, right?
right, right. I think that there is, like, I remember also in my case, there was one of my teachers that told me, after many, many years of teachers that told me to try harder,
Mm-hmm.
this teacher arrived and he said to me, like, look, if you go to competition and all the situations are perfect, meaning, all the conditions are perfect, floor is great, people
Mm-hmm.
around is great, music is great, you feel good. So if all situations are perfect, you dance 90% of what you can dance. If
Okay.
situations are not perfect, meaning floor is shitty and blah blah blah, you dance
Mm-hmm.
70%. I said, wow, I mean, this was, I always thought to dance 150%. That was my mentality, right? I was trying to
Mm-hmm.
do the best I could do,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what. And then this teacher gave me permission to feel around, understand how it feels,
Mm-hmm.
and go a little bit less than my maximum. And eventually, it delivered very, very good. I mean, that competition was a huge game changer, because from that time on, I never danced 100% at a competition ever again. And I'm very
Mm-hmm.
grateful, because what I do, if I want to dance 100%, I gotta practice at 100 or 110 or 120%. So to
Mm-hmm.
bring my 100% higher, therefore my 90% of that 100% will be higher, but I will
Yeah.
never feel overwhelmed or, let's say, not enough in control. I
Mm-hmm.
think this is about clarity of expression. When you express, when you talk or you communicate anything, you must be clear and readable. And if you
Hmm.
are overwhelmed, you're gonna talk like or like that. You're gonna talk,
Hmm.
and you can say something, people can understand you, but I don't like it. This energy is
Hmm.
hitting in my face.
Confusing, yeah.
Confusing. So something readable. Then it doesn't have to become like 50%. Then you look like very probably not competitive enough.
Hmm.
But again, finding that balance was, for me, in that point of view, was interesting. And I think what you said about your show in Latvia, right? You
Hmm.
said, I didn't even think I worked that hard. Probably
Hmm.
in that case, in a way, from my experience, when maybe we're dancing at your 80%, for making an example, right? And being more committed emotionally. And guess what? 80% of your quality of your technique was already very, very good. that's the that's probably
Yeah.
the point. And then when you try and go 110, at the end of the day, it actually delivers less.
Yeah. I think, yeah, it's just also I wanted to talk about kind of like the times that we kind of live in just in the world, right? Not just dancing, but everything that we do as the human, right? I feel like we want to go faster, whatever. We want to have a faster phone. We want to get, the food should come faster. The food should be fast, quick, and easy, and then dancing is kind of, and also in the modern art. Sometimes I feel like the modern art, the main thing is just to be shocking. Sometimes you see these artists, whatever, they take some kind of paint and then just throw to the paper or whatever, and I'm thinking
Yes.
like, what is the, I understand there is some meaning to it, but is this some kind of, years of dedication to the craft, or some kind of deep thought, or some kind of skill, and I feel like the same in dancing, oh, we want, like you say, we want to be competitive. Like, what does that even mean? This means that, okay, he's doing three pivots, I'm going to do five, or he do one speed, I'm going to do faster. But I feel like it's kind of like going to nowhere,
That's
it's
right.
like this, the logical mind and the boldness just to in your eyes, right, is taking so much more importance over the expression of just the human experience, feeling of the two bodies moving together, feeling the swing, just that can be very beautiful,
Right.
so I'm thinking like, just in general, I think like we need more of that in dancing, because like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, there was so much of that in dancing, right? You would see, it's
Yes.
not that people are moving not enough. I mean, they're moving enough, I mean, how much shape do you really need? I mean, kind of like objectively speaking, to be beautiful and enjoy movement and enjoy dancing with another person, you don't need extreme shape. It's unnecessary. While it might look, I don't know, like big and bold, I mean, the feeling of it is not like a great. I mean, it's just, it can be small and it can be big, but it not must be big, must be
Right.
better,
Right. I
and then
think
like,
that, yeah. Sorry, you finish. You go ahead.
oh yeah, I was almost done. Yeah, kind of. I see, especially those young kids and young dancers, more and bigger and faster and all of that, And I'm thinking like, for a regular person watching that, they might say, "Oh wow, it's great," but it doesn't really touch the heart
Right.
because it's just big, but it doesn't have any feeling, expression, like you said,
Right. Look, what I wanted to say about this is that, unfortunately, I mean, many people may disagree with me, but I believe that the world is made of people that are leading and people that are following in every aspect. So there are people that do stuff and eventually happens to make a difference, and a lot of other people will just try to emulate. And I think that the problems comes from this, and the benefit that the person that is copied, let's say the person that is being copied, of course, has a lot of benefits, right? Because that person become the symbol of what dancing is right now, and therefore there is a lot of business behind and blah blah blah, right? But I believe that physicality and also the big shapes and stuff can be a formal legitimate expression. So if a dancer feels that urge inside himself or inside herself to be athletic and to express let's say some you call this big shape, so I would say the use of the body in a way that these curves are very enhanced, or in a way that the speed is very enhanced, right? If it's the expression of something that you feel inside, a necessity that you feel to express, and you express it that way, I honestly buy that every day. I remember,
Hmm.
when I make an example, speaking about names, I remember it was kind of Alsen, right? He used to be a pretty physical, fast, and not big shapes, but super fast, right? That you might say, maybe there wasn't the best quality of the movement, right? But I love that. I mean, he was impressive. When I saw him live, the first time was like something unbelievable. The problem comes when that becomes a fashion and everybody start doing the same thing just because that guy do that thing.
Hmm.
Like also shape wise, I might take an example of it. I have no problem sharing that. I would say maybe Mirko and Dedita, right, are the couple that a little bit, mm, a lot implemented the spacing right between the two. For my personal taste is not my biggest preference, but I see a lot of couple copying that, and I don't like that. But I see in them, I can say on them, it looks a genuine expression of what they want to do. You know what I'm saying? It looks like that's what they want to communicate, and they had many years of experience, right, learning the technique the real way, because of course this is undeniable. And then they decide to use their body to express that. I pick up my hands and I say, all my respect. Not my favorite stylistic choice, but all respect. Then everybody start to do the same because it seems fashionable. Then here we are killing the personality. There is no personality anymore. So again, if it reflects the need that you want to express through physicality, through shapes, through space, for me it's good. But when it becomes like that's the new fashion, and so we gotta do like this because otherwise we don't get marked or stuff like that, then it's where everything gets lost and then it loses its meaning. I was many years student with William and Alessandra, and William, when he's about accelerations and decelerations, so change of speed, I think it's undeniably the best ever, I think, from my point of view. But I tried, but that's not the way I want to express. And when I tried, and a lot of people, of course, try to do like this, it kind of looks even a bit funny sometimes. Like, you can learn that skill. You can learn how to accelerate that way. You can learn how to decelerate the way. But then if you make it a trademark of yours that is not really yours, you are taking from somebody else, it looks weird on you if it's not meant to be yours, right? Again, I hope I make clear this what I'm saying. If you purposely decide to go a certain direction, great. No matter the direction, I won't judge it. But if you go because other people do, or because you think that that's better, blah blah blah, then honestly I say no, I don't buy it.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, so why don't we touch upon the second topic? So the role of the muscle memory, balancing analytical practice with intuitive movement, right? So how your body is working through analysis of what you're doing and versus just feel it and go, you know?
Hmm.
How do you like to go about this idea?
So when I speak with my students about muscle memory, I always tell them that I want them to consider muscle memory an enemy, a bad thing. So usually I
Okay.
tell them, guys, we have muscle memory, meaning we have. I'm not even sure that scientifically that's the right way of saying. I think that the science says that there is no such thing as muscle memory. I think there is a study about that. But let's say that we call muscle memory the habit of creating a certain movement. So that the habit that comes by the repetition of repeating the same movement all over again. Okay, so let's say that that's muscle memory. So in that case, I would say to my students to think of that as a negative thing. Sometimes they come to me and they say, "Oh, I just still don't have the muscle memory. When I will have, then I will be able to do it all the time." No,
Mm.
so get out of this thought. This is my suggestion.
Hmm.
I prefer muscle memory is there and it will be. So unfortunately, we are human being. We get used to stuff and we go
Hmm.
by habits. So that's normal. But we want to keep evolving. Therefore, we need awareness every single time. We need to try and be aware on the moment every single time to make it really powerful and to make a movement better and better and better. Otherwise, it feels to me like you are settling with the level that you have. So if you are settling with the level that you have, then yes, rely on your muscle memory. So I would say when you are training, you shouldn't go to muscle memory ever unless you are doing, let's say, around a simulation of a competition, right? If you're doing a
Hmm.
simulation of a competition, accept your body and your mind for what you have at this moment and go with the flow and go with the muscle memory. If you go perform, depending on your level, meaning, of course, kids, I wouldn't really recommend, but if you're an adult and mature enough, then I would say, okay, a competition, go there and try to let go, you know? But normally I prefer to recommend self-awareness over muscle memory. I don't know how you feel about that.
So, okay, so let me put some more stuff on it. So, balancing analytical practice with the intuitive movement, right? So, I
Mm.
mean, when you practice, you must have analysis, right? Because if you go with intuition, this is something that you have naturally, or it's within you, like you said, the language, right? You already know what you know. So, you can let it happen, you
Mm-hmm.
know like the way how I like to go about things and I like to teach is that first you analyze, you use your mind to understand what's going to happen. I'm going to use my knee, I'm going to have my rotation, and this is the direction, and that's where I'm going. Okay, good. I think about it, I kind of map it out, that's what's going to happen. Very good. But when I'm doing it, I can't be analytical anymore, because as soon as I'm analytical, I start to focus on one aspect. So that immediately, kills the inertia, kills the momentum, kills the
Right,
feeling. So you can't really dance like that. You can learn like that and kind of try to increase awareness of what is going on, because sometimes my students, they would feel really well and wherever they're looking, okay, I'm looking there, so I'm very aware here, but I'm not very aware there, right? Because
right,
I'm not looking there. So I think that's where analysis comes into the play, that you need to be aware of this and aware of that. Okay, okay, good, good, good. And then you develop the intuition, that intuitive movement, right? Okay,
right,
that's how it goes and that's how it feels. And whoosh, I'm going to go through this moment,
right.
right?
Like this thing that when a teacher, I think, I don't remember exactly, but I think a teacher of mine told me this, and or maybe I read it somewhere, I don't remember, but if you take torchlight,
Mm-hmm.
when the light is off and you take this little torch, if you put it close to the wall or something, you will see a little hole of light. The
Mm-hmm.
more you pull it behind, and the more this size of light increases. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a little bit, to me, is the metaphor, the example of concentration
Mm-hmm.
versus awareness. So when you
Mm-hmm.
are concentrate, the light is close to the wall, and you can really see very clearly what's happening in that specific region, in that
Mm-hmm.
specific part of your body, or in that specific moment of time while you dance. But concentration is only good for studying purposes. It's not
Mm-hmm.
good for execution. It's not good for
Mm-hmm.
delivery. So for delivery and for execution, you gotta pull the light out, and you gotta have a wider vision. So that's what I define, for me, awareness. So
Mm-hmm.
awareness of a specific point is not awareness. That's concentration, focus on something.
Mm-hmm.
Awareness is when you are able to see the bigger picture, right? And
Yeah.
so we need to find again a balance there, because some people are, let's say, talented, and then we can talk about the meaning of talent, right? And be naturally sensitive of certain parts of the body and maybe not so much of another part, so needs focus to understand
Mm-hmm.
what happens in there, but then needs awareness to understand how it fits with all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Easy to say, not so easy to do.
Yeah.
Actually, not too easy to say as well, but
Yeah.
that's the thing. That's why dancing is a beautiful activity. That's why ballroom dancing is by far my favorite activity, because it requires a lot of self attention, of self understanding on many point of view. And again, the balance of this is the key, and seeing the bigger journey, how a logical thought can bring to a total awareness, that bridges everything.
Yeah. So let's, okay, I think the next topic is also very interesting. The partner connection, the logical mechanics of lead and follow versus emotional synchronization with a partner.
I want to ask one of your previous partners. Let's check. Now, let's go check our previous
Oh,
partners what they
you
think
know,
about
I have this
that.
I have this story. One time I was dancing with the Anastasia, and we went to this camp in Berlin, and we have like a group class with Ruud Vermeij, right?
Hmm.
Kind of like the philosopher of dancing. And I remember, oh, he said, I want to volunteer. I was like, okay, I want to be the volunteer. Okay, come in the front. We sit in the front, and so he says, okay, Anastasia, now tell Carlos, what did you think about this last dance you did? How did you feel? What do you think is good? What do you think is bad? Or something like that. So she speaks for maybe 2 minutes, and then my job is just to listen, do nothing, just listen, and then paraphrase. And then everybody's watching, maybe 50 people, and she speak, and then I listen. I thought, okay, it's pretty clear. I understand everything. Everything is totally understandable. And then I say, okay, this is what she said. She said that I need to do this and I need to do that and blah blah blah. And then Ruud Vermeij says, okay, now the audience, what do you think? Did Carlos understand when Anastasia said? Everybody say no. I was like, how this is possible? I was so focused, So yeah,
Wow, interesting. So you
it's
totally
just so
messed up.
I totally mess up. But it's just so shocking to me how I tried to understand, but I didn't get it.
Got it. Wow, wow. That's
Yeah,
that's interesting. Again, you see, we all mean different things with the same words
yeah.
often, right? Depends on the cultural. You guys are we're also where you is it were you guys speaking your first language to each other? Or
English. We
you
speak
had
English.
you were speaking English.
Yeah,
So it's not the first language. So that's also
yeah,
makes a huge difference, right? So cultural and language, of course. Well, about partnering connection, right? So my gosh, this is such a sensitive topic. I think I totally ignored it for the longest time. Like,
mm,
totally. Like, I didn't even know it was a thing for the longest time.
yeah. But I think it's normal
Remember in the
to through the
WDSF,
development.
there was the partnering skill kind of
Oh
judgment.
yeah, yeah.
I literally didn't understand what that means. Like I
Hmm.
had no clue what that was. So maybe it means that when you enter the floor, you look at each other or something. So that's what I thought it was. It goes way deeper than that, and my understanding of it now, of course, it's balanced with my life experiences and stuff. So partnering connection, it can be also in a logical, physical way, or it can be a more emotional and personal
Yeah.
way.
Let's talk about that.
We can speak about connections like literally the way we connect to each other, pull and push, right?
Hmm.
So our weights towards each other, our weights away from each other, right? So those are
Hmm.
physical way that we need to understand. And I was trained to try this little many things. For who does Latin is even worse, right? You did Latin, so you know all this pull and push and blah 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 and go
Oh my
away
God.
from the center. Right? So those are all connection in a more logical way. But then also there, same exact example, like this, the way our bodies interact with each other must be done for a real meaning, right? Must be done with a meaning. So the connection becomes meaningful and then becomes more on emotional level. And so we get to understand each other better. We understand our roles better. And hopefully we get to the entire dancing star benefit out of it. But it's a tricky chapter, definitely.
Yeah. What I think, and I usually tell this to my students, and I feel that it really helps, because as a teachers, I think the students are always taught, okay, this is what you do, okay, do this, connect here, bend your knees and do this. So it's very kind of like, instructional, right? Okay, you are my student and you're my partner. So you're going to come here and you're going to give in this body part and you're going to feel like this and all of that, right? But then what happens that when they dance and when they come to you and you take a hold, they are dancing with their ideas. They're not really dancing with you.
Right.
So they are thinking, okay, I come here and I bend my knees and I kind of do this, and now it's correct, right? But it's very analytical and very personal, and it's not interpersonal at all. Meaning,
Right.
the main focus point is myself doing something, and then whenever I talk about, okay, this is good, this is the, like the words, like you say, in the language, this is the language, but now we need to communicate. So when you come to me and when you do all of this, you need to realize, how do you relate to me, right? How everything that you do is gonna complement me, and we're gonna make a harmony together. I'm gonna do this and you're gonna do that, and we're gonna react and communicate, and we're gonna make it work. So, and then I feel like they always do better. They always are more relaxed, and they are looking for feedback, they're looking for communication. They're not just, oh, I do this and it's done. So
Right.
the body becomes very, like, rigid and kind of dry.
Another
So
teacher of mine told me that a broken clock is correct twice a day.
I see.
So that's
Yeah,
kind of the same thing. You can find the moment and it's correct in that very moment, but the moment
yeah,
afterwards is already wrong.
yeah,
So you don't have to fall, the student don't have to fall in the trick that because we find one moment that works, then we should keep it the entire time. Because again, it's like a broken clock. It's going to be correct twice a day.
yeah.
And the but for, again, if we go back to focus versus awareness, maybe in that moment we were able to find one moment that works, and then we have to also set in a way the pattern to navigate that so that we can find the next. At the end is a sequence of moments that must be fluent with each other, right? Again, easy to say and not easy to do, but I think it's important, when every time we teach, I think it's important, like I said in the beginning, to say, okay, we are going to try and find this moment. I'm going to try and explain what happened in this moment, but just so you know, we need this as a transition to something that is before that and something that is after that. And then eventually we try to smooth it out so that we can travel across these moments. This is probably the hardest thing in ballroom dancing. I mean, I would say this, and then, and we're not even talking about music yet. So we are only connecting to each other. Then eventually we have to connect with music. I mean, it's very, very complicated, but to be, we need to be present. We don't need to stuck in a moment. The present is the present now, and 1 second later is already the past. So realizing
True.
this, it's crucial. It takes a long time. Also, I think that the teacher should, in a way, give permission to the student to do it wrong for the sake of researching. Sometimes the teacher should act more like a teacher. So let's say I'm here, you are here, and I'm giving you informations. And sometimes the teacher instead should step down and say, okay, let's act like partners. And I think that only with an alternation of that, because ultimately there cannot be connection if we are not on the same level. This I really believe. Like in society, right? An adult cannot be with a kid, right? It's illegal, but it's also, there is some reality into it. Like the connection is just not right. And I think teacher student is not a position to possibly connect. So to connect, we need to be dancer, dancer, person, person. Now, of course, there is person one, the teacher that has more awareness, more experience, and there is person two, the student has less of that. But in that moment, if we work on connection, we are two people. Very important. Then, to increase the awareness of the student, sometimes I need to step up again into the role of the teacher and try and flow information. That's why also at a good high level of pro-am, you need also a coach,
Hmm.
because often you're partners.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, you are one of the actors. I'm one actor, you're the other actor. And then there's also kind of the director, right? Which, of
Right.
course, I'm taking on the role as a director as well. But it always helps somebody, the third person, looking how it is that works together, because I can't be right here and also there,
And
right?
also there,
So,
exactly. Oh,
yeah,
this
it's
is
impossible.
personally, I do need that a lot. Like with the more time it passes, and the more I need outside eye. You might think the more expert you need and the less you need it. Actually, I think the more you need it, because I become better and better in feeling from the inside, and I get, I think, weaker and weaker in having an outside eye because
Hmm.
I'm so inside the couple. So when you have a beginner, it's very easy to tell you are losing posture, or but then eventually start getting very much about the connection, and some stuff
Hmm.
you just don't see or don't feel.
Yeah.
So also I think that when we speak about partnering connection, the fact that occasionally there must be a third person that helps that, it's important.
Yeah. Another interesting idea that I feel people don't really think about enough is like this kind of like a balance between kind of like the effort, the power, the apply of yourself, and then the other one is just letting things happen, feel how it's unraveling, feel how the swing is happening, and just go with the flow a little bit. Sometimes I feel the student, oh, she really want to do good, she really want to do the best, so she really so much effort that the
Right.
feeling is going away, so the body becomes more tense. So when the
Yes.
body become more tense, the joint cannot move. But
Right.
we need the power. Then I usually talk about, okay, if you pick up the paper cup to drink the water, right, how much effort do you need? It's just barely anything, right? You just
Right.
drink and that's it. Or you go to the gym, you pick up the dumbbell. Okay, now is effort.
Right.
So in dancing, I feel is really not that much effort. It's so much more release, right?
Yes, I agree. I agree. And like what I often say, maybe this will be helpful to someone, I hope. I say to my students, you know how there is a competitive dancing and a social dancing?
Mm-hmm.
So you can do every dance, you can do social way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I tell them, your level, your real level is your social dancing right now. So if I ask you today to dance social dancing, I think maybe we spoke about this already sometime.
Mm.
But if I ask you today to dance socially, to
Yep.
dance your waltz in a social way, that's your real dance level of today. Everything what you do extra is you trying to do it, but is not what your body really learned to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So when you swing and you feel it like social, like Andrew Sinkinson, he used to call this the nightclub kind of way, right? He would do the
Mm-hmm.
nightclub foxtrot with all the
Mm-hmm.
girls, right? And in that nightclub way, social club way, that's where you see really your flow, your swing, your leg action. The quantities are reduced, but the
Mm-hmm.
proportion of all the elements are still intact. And
Mm-hmm.
now, then your job is, okay, how good can I be to increase the proportion of all the elements of my dancing, and I keep the same relationship. So the sum of all this proportion must still be the same of when you do it social. So
Mm-hmm.
if you feel a swing of a feather step this way, then you do it like this, and you feel it's still the same, right? Until you get to a position that is competitive enough, and you still maintain all the ingredients proportion the same. You can make a cake for one person, or you can make the same cake
Mm-hmm.
for 20 people.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the is when we try hard, the proportion of these ingredients is off. So
Yeah.
you might have too much strength, you might have too much whatever. Okay, you might
Mm-hmm.
even actually mess up your posture, stuff like that, or not enough loose in the joints, like you said. Again, I always say when a figure doesn't happen, I say dance it socially and bring it all the way up, and check at which point you are losing some of the ingredients, because that's where usually you find the answer of what's going on. So again, when you speak about the quantity in that sense, I think that this is important to feel.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, let's talk about this. So, the improvisation, how dancers balance structured technique with free expression in the moment.
Hmm.
I think it's so important because when a regular person, a non dancer, I don't know, engineer, whatever, lawyer, doesn't matter, somebody else, when they watch dancing, I think what they like is not they come first time to the dance studio or they think, oh wow, what a great rotation action or whatever. Nobody really cares about that. This is
Right.
just is something that you go through on the way to better dancing. What really they like is, the expression, then the moment, the partnership skills, right? It's like, I also like what you said about the social level dancing. Many students, they kind of, we dance, dance, dance. And then sometimes I make up stuff, just in the moment. Nothing too crazy, but something I know that they can follow me,
Hmm.
maybe push them a little bit. And I think this is so exciting, this, communication, expression in the moment. Not really, okay, we must be perfect or we must do this or we must do that. I think as for the industry whole, the ballroom dancing, I think nowadays sometimes too much power, too is just too much. Is not enough of this just feeling and enjoying in the and that can be so beautiful. Like you said, people just copy. Oh, they do this. It looks so interesting. I'm just gonna copy that. And then it's just like you said, I mean, not so interesting, right?
Yeah. And again, look, sometimes it's really because now we are saying like this because many people are copying that. But
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that we could say the exact same thing if maybe what we like was copied.
Mhm.
It's really not about what it is that you copy because I also saw couples, I saw dancers that they are clearly physical, like
Mhm.
they are meant to be physical, and when they get smooshy and when they try to get, they just don't get it. It's just not their thing. So if
Mhm.
I see a couple that is meant to be physical and it dances in a physical way and it's pleasing to the eye, I buy it. But
Yeah.
it's weird when you do it, let's say, with all due respect, like senior four couples, right? It just doesn't make sense with your body and with the way you walk. From the way you walk, I can already tell that you cannot produce. It's not gonna look good. It's
Yeah.
just not going to look good. And there are instead so many ways that this example, senior three, senior four couple, even senior one couple, can actually dance very beautifully if they would just pay attention more to their own body and their own skills. Of course, it's the teacher that must help this journey, right? Alone is very difficult to figure it out. But I think there was a moment in which I think there was an historical moment of dancing in which probably when the two big federations kind of split,
Mhm.
where maybe dancing was becoming a little bit just about the quality of your swing, just about the balance, and there was maybe not a little daring
Mm.
research into something, right? So maybe if we go back in time, who knows? Maybe me and you would be on the side of the athleticism. You know what I'm saying? On the side of the trying harder. We don't know. But ultimately, the point is, what do you want right now? And the teacher will see the body of a person and try to deal with the body. So you gotta get the stuff from beginning. You have to deal with your balance. You have to learn, feel your balance, and then your body is there are people that are if I have a student that can bend all the way to the floor
Mhm.
comfortably and looks in balance and looks beautiful, I'll let her do that. But
Mhm.
when a person cannot do it, obviously the body, and then try and do it, and then no, I think it's like you cut your own feet, you kill yourself. So it's really about being appropriate and original, and personal, and willing to research. These are the willing to research on your own body, your movement
Yeah.
on your own body with your teacher. And eventually you'll come up with the best product. That's what I believe.
Yeah. No, of course, definitely. When I'm thinking, I don't know, 10 years, 15 years back, of course, I'm whatever, 16, 18, of course, the blood is boiling more, whatever, faster and all of that. Yeah, 100%. I never really, back then, I was thinking, oh my God, this WDC is so boring,
Right.
They
I
just,
thought that
whatever,
too. Yeah.
is so not exciting to watch. This is not dancing, that's not interesting now. But now I'm thinking the other way. I'm thinking, wow, this WDSF. I'm listening to the waltz music. The woman is singing about whatever, love and relationships and the
Yes,
world, and
yes.
they're like bam, 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 poo, pa, ha, ha. I'm
Right.
like, doesn't make any sense.
Well, again,
Right?
it changes with us, and it's okay that we are not. We might think even different 10 years from now or 20 years from
Yeah,
now.
sure.
So again, the point is be true and honest with yourself in that moment. I don't regret when I thought like that. I thought very badly of some couples that today I respect very much. I
Hmm.
remember, I won't do names in here because I would feel shy, but I thought some couples were bad. And now I
Hmm.
think, oh my gosh, I respect this very, very much. I was wrong for sure back then because honestly, you can learn from anybody at any stage of their career. And everybody is in his own or her own journey. So as long as you keep staying with what you need in that moment, then it's fine. And for what you said about the improvisation, I think improvisation is very important. Improvisation is the real nature of ballroom dancing. The problem is, and I'm sure you agree with me, and then the problem is how to let the students know if we do pro-am, let's talk pro-am for now, because it's
Hmm.
where improvisation becomes more difficult.
Hmm.
Is to make them understand that there is no guessing involved. But there will be guessing if they don't see what's the underneath thing that puts together this improvisation. So when we
Hmm.
improvise, what are we doing? We are balancing on the spot. We are over balancing somewhere in the room.
Hmm.
So if you narrow it down to this, right? So it's no
Hmm.
guess because then you think, okay, what I hope that they do, my students, I hope that when improvisation floor craft comes out, I hope that they start thinking, okay, this is my balance. Okay, Oreste is moving his balance and my balance, and now
Hmm.
we're moving somewhere in the ballroom. And by just feeling this, hopefully you can get a flow. And so there is no guessing because you are feeling something. But when I notice some students don't even know that there is this balance and overbalance kind of concept underneath, and therefore the only option they have is guessing. So the only
Hmm.
option they have is understanding which figure we are doing. And so
Hmm.
if that's the only option, then we cannot blame them that that's what they do. So we need to provide an alternative option that is strong enough
Hmm.
and that feels good so that then they can at least start to put themselves in that option kind of state of mind.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. It's like you said, yeah, that is the, I mean, like, how did ballroom dancing happen, right? Back, I don't know, 100 years ago, or maybe a little bit more, probably beginning of the 20th century, right? In UK,
Right.
people just get together, there is no iPhone, there's no Instagram. They just go together, meet new people, right? And then dance around, and there is no routine, there is nothing. There's just, some little steps, and you just improvise and move around, and, and feel each other. That is the true essence of dancing,
Right.
right?
Yes.
So I think it's important not to lose that, right?
Yes. Absolutely. I think that there should also do. Back then, they didn't even have the names of the steps. They didn't have a
Hmm.
footwork written somewhere, right?
Hmm.
Now there is, and I think that's a very good thing. Now there is a huge scientific understanding of what's happening when we dance, but we should not aim for that. That should be a tool for us to be more aware of what's supposed to happen while you do a natural turn or while you do a spin turn. What's supposed to happen is this, right? So let's say on a spin turn, you know that second step you have to do heel toe, which is
Hmm.
unusual because normally on second step in waltz you do ball of foot, right? Ball of toe,
Hmm.
right? When I teach that, then they all get clunky, the man, right? Because they try to hit this heel on the step two, which is uncomfortable. Okay, I say, wait a second. You don't have to do it. Just know that's what's supposed to happen. Feel the balance, feel the overbalance, and check if you can sense that heel toe kind of progression, right? Same thing happened to me for people that come from smooth. Their three step is
Hmm.
not heel toe, heel toe, heel toe, toe heel, but is
Hmm.
heel toe, toe, toe heel. So to
Hmm.
change that second step to a heel toe, it's hard. They need to refeel the movement to make it natural, right?
Yeah.
So we have so many informations and they are so easy to access. I have students that go and study their own on the book and then they come all messed up because they try to do exactly what the book says
Yeah.
And often it's a problem, you know?
Yeah.
Again, I think that we always need to know where it comes from. Like you said, 100 years ago, they used to just be in a hug, ladies on the right side, right? And we just try and balance and overbalance across. And then eventually they start exploring. And through this exploration comes what today we call the figures, because
Or whatever the technique.
the technique, at a certain
Yeah.
point, somebody had to put it down in words to
Yeah.
keep expanding, to keep promoting this art.
Hmm.
But let's remember that the people that wrote the book, they first learned how to do it, and then they knew the rules. It's not that they learned the rules first and then they and then they dance. Okay, so first they felt the dancing, and then they put it down in words. So now we do the process usually the other way around. And I think it's good for the beginning. It speeds up a little bit the process, but there is a moment in which you have to try and reverse the process and say, okay, let me start from my own self, and let me try and see if I can hit these points that the book is talking about. You know?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I think definitely there needs to be a balance between kind of the logic and the feeling. And yeah, because the feeling, like you said, is more important because it's all encompassing, right? You use logic to have a direction. Okay, this is the problem, or I need to work on this, or understand this. But when you're done with this, you need to have the harmony in the movement with the partner, with the music and everything.
Right.
Is just there's too many things going on at the same time to think about it,
Right.
right?
Exactly. Yes. And just I think we are not smart enough to conceive all the things together. So we are smart enough to understand the things topic by topic,
Hmm.
but we are not smart enough to put them together organically. We need to rely on our feelings and our instinct, which is the strongest part of our brain, to put this stuff all together to make them have sense.
Yeah.
So again, with the balance of all this, it's like it's everything. It's just everything.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I think that was very interesting. I hope some people can find it useful. And I like to talk to you.
Same
For me,
here.
it's interesting also understand how you see things, and have
Same
a
here for
different
me.
perspective.
Thank you. No, but
Yeah.
again, I also love to hear other people's opinion, and actually, all my opinion, a derivation of other people's opinion that are shared with me, and then I make them
Okay.
mine. So it's that's what it should be. So I love this type of talks, and I hope that some of the people that are watching this can maybe get some sort of benefit. I invite anybody to text me or Carlis privately if there is any question about this. It's a
Yeah,
large
for
topic.
sure.
It's a large topic, and it's a long journey. But you gotta start at some point, right?
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let me push this button.
Yeah. And mostly,
Okay, cool, man. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, man. Happy New Year. Yeah. Yeah. Ciao.